Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rash's World. We have a special guest today, S.A. Stolin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, and thank you very much for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming. So, the first question is the toughest, and then it gets easier as we go along. How would you briefly
Okay.
describe yourself? What would you say to our audience here in any way
Oh
you see
boy.
fit?
Well, one of the things I really did want to express is that as an older person, I'm 82 years old, and I've changed myself in so many ways. And depending on what's happening in my life, you are able to work, you are able to contribute, no matter what age you are. And I think that's something I hadn't considered. Somebody mentioned it, just you ought to mention the fact that you're 82 because people probably won't believe that. And the other thing is that people my age can certainly contribute and continue to contribute not just to their own lives, but to the world. And that's what I'm hoping to do with the romance books. I think people love romance. I think they love different places where they can be seen, like skiing or going down to the Bahamas or whatever it takes. I think that it enriches your life to travel and to do everything that you can do physically. Some people can't do things physically, they're disabled, but they can do other things. And I think that that's what's important. That Robert Louis Stevenson, was in bed and he was writing Treasure Island and doing things like that. So that's one of the things I want to say about me, that I'm older and that I have been an actress for a long time. And then I gave that up when, things got slower as they do, and went back to school and became a PhD in forensic psychology, which helped me with the drama part of it, Erish. You know what I mean? That was dramatic enough. And then went into writing, and the writing has been a lot of fun. It's very cathartic in one thing. Um, and so I'm just really beginning to appreciate it. And the Doc's Christmas Miracle, which is the reason you had me on the show today, I hope,
Yes,
will be coming
absolutely. Let's
out
get to it. So the book we're going to
December.
talk about is The
Uh,
Dog's Christmas Miracle and other things too, but that's our main focus. So
yeah.
yeah, so the description says Hallmark with a twist. And so I'm a big fan of romance, so I just love that, but I especially love the twist. So if you can
Oh.
give our audience here an idea of what's the romance part and what is the twist as well.
That's interesting. Yeah. The romance are obviously two doctors that fall in love, but when the first doctor goes up to Crescent Hill, which is the setting of my story, he goes up as a researcher. He thinks that there's a memory machine where there's an enzyme that's missing in Alzheimer's patients. If that enzyme can be replaced in some way, that Alzheimer's will either be stopped or the memories will come back. And when he comes up there, he meets somebody who's basically just a psychologist who really wants talk and music therapy and things like that. She's more of a calming kind of influence.
Mhm.
And the two of them really get into it because one doesn't believe in it and the other one does believe in it. And the head of the clinic says you two have to work together because we're losing money. And if something doesn't come along pretty soon that shows that we can enhance memory, this clinic's going to close. So they have to work together. And there's a lot of animosity. But all of a sudden, her mother, who does have Alzheimer's, is on his memory machine. They finally come to the very end of the road, and Dr. Susan Pace, the psychotherapist, says, you know what, if you can help my mother, God bless you, just do so. So he goes, are you sure? She says, yes. And so once she's on the machine, this little lady is able to describe a mystery and what happened in the mystery that had never been known before. She had information that she was able to give the cops. So he realized the memory machine isn't just about memory, it can also uncover crimes. So that's where the twist is. And I don't want to give away too much, or
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
I
awesome.
want
That
people to
that
read
by
the book.
itself.
But
Yes,
the romance part
absolutely.
of it,
Yeah.
when you realize that you can get together with someone and accomplish something, that adds a lot of credibility to a relationship. There's a partnership involved and love, and that's how they fall in love. We can work this together. And it was an amazing thing to find out. I think it has a lot to do with communication between couples in any case. You've got to find an even ground. You've got to find a way that people are thinking, and how is it different from the way you're thinking. And I think that a lot of the problems with relationships is just communication, pure and
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, I just love it how you talk about your characters and your own background in psychology kind of and goes into the psychology of the characters, right? So you are creating like three-dimensional characters who have these like again the emotions that you're talking about here, the thoughts, their doubts, their hesitations, and all that. And so
Uh,
that conflict, like you also put them in a situation that's stressful, and that creates a certain kind of bond usually as well when you go through it together, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to putting it. There was a study where a bus was in a gully and
Mhm.
two opposing groups of people, people who hated each other, had to get in there to help get that bus out. And because of that, they had a bonding. I've forgotten the study and I ought to remember it. I should have looked it up before I came on this show, but I
That's
didn't.
good.
So anyway, I want to say Sharif because I always liked his work, but it shows you how people can bond that way. That if you're both have an interest in one particular thing, that you find a way to bond and not, no longer be enemies.
And sometimes we see that when there's like the hatred, there's actually kind of love in disguise, right? There's like some
Yeah.
people like when they hate someone with a passion, I'm like, ah, there might be some attraction there that you don't want to
Oh yeah.
acknowledge.
Yeah, yeah, there usually is. And especially in this case, where Dr. Mark Moore comes in and he's gorgeous, of course.
Mhm.
And she's very beautiful. And the two just get into it immediately. They're very angry. They don't want to be involved again. And for Dr. Mark Moore, there's a very good reason. His girlfriend, who became his wife, actually had an affair with another doctor there and gave birth to another son. And this poor man knew nothing about it. He was completely blindsided. And I think that a lot of people, a lot of our listeners might feel that way. And around
Mhm.
this time of year, all that anger and hatred and self-hatred comes to the fore. And if you can just read a light romance like this, you might go, wait a minute, I don't have to hate myself. I did it because I was lonely or I was scared, or there were a lot of good reasons why these things happened. And now I've overcome them and learned from them. And all of it makes me who I am today.
Yeah, I love that level of transformation too, and I've experienced myself too. When you really like love yourself, you like yourself, you love yourself, and appreciate yourself, then that projects, and then others do the same, right? So it's when
Exactly.
people are like, there's like nobody loves me, everyone hates me, and so on. It's like, well, maybe if you accept yourself and love yourself, they will too. So it's kind of
Yeah.
goes kind of both ways. There's a connection there.
People say that, and you go, well, how can I do that? You know, how am I
Mhm.
supposed to love myself? It's easy to say it, but
Right.
how do you do
Yeah.
that? And you think of the accomplishment that you have. And there was at one point where I really thought, I just want to disappear at this point because I'm not 25 anymore. And that can't happen. You're important at any age. And I finally figured it out. So I was able to give it to other people and to hopefully write it and hopefully just give you a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Um, that's the whole point of the book. If you can sit down with my book after a very heavy day and just go, oh, this is so nice,
Mhm.
that would make me happy, you
Yeah.
know.
And everyone's interested in romance. I think that's something that, well, I personally just love romance because it really warms the heart in many ways, and especially like related to Christmas, where you think you when you
Exactly.
find yourself on during that period, and I think they're trapped in a snowstorm, so that's kind of also goes with the season, but then kind of finding each other and creating that romance between people. I think that's wonderful.
I think that it offers hope, and
Hmm.
that's what we're really looking for when you're looking for romance is hope. That there's really a way of feeling great about yourself and being a part of somebody else's life and being able to enjoy other people rather than kind of squirreling yourself away and feeling isolated and things like that.
Hmm. I think Christmas is also a time of miracles. So what you're talking about here is kind of like there's a science part, but there's another part, and miracles are seem beyond science. Science has no explanation for them. And as somebody who personally believes in miracles, I think there's a lot of stuff that happens that is just like astounding. I think that's wonderful to put that in a book, and especially to set it during Christmas time, which is a very important time, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing about miracles, I truly believe in a sixth sense. I
Hmm.
truly do. I'll think of somebody's name that I hadn't thought of in, I mean, literally years. The
Hmm.
very next day, that person will appear, or their name will appear, or something will happen. Go, wait a minute, I haven't heard of them in so long. And a sixth sense keeps showing itself. If you just open your eyes and see what's around you, you go, whoa, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect this to happen or that to happen. And it's just so shocking. And that's true here too in my book. Because
Hmm.
the Doc's Christmas miracle is that he thought that this memory machine could help, but he wasn't sure. Now, suddenly, not only is he sure, but the machine offers so much more than he expected. And I think that's true if you just give yourself one belief system that's different from what you believed before, that there's a whole trickle down of things that good things that happen for you.
Exactly. I just like for Christmas, I always think it's a wonderful life of that idea of like where you become like, okay, I'm not important. I should stop existing. And some people, and sometimes you go through phases where you feel like that. But then when you're shown, it's like, well, if you didn't exist, everything would be different. And you just say, no, I am important for all of this.
Exactly.
And to
Yeah.
forgive others, but also to forgive yourself in many ways and kind of continue on a new path, rediscover a new path for yourself as well.
I think that that really comes from childhood. And I think that the way that you're brought up, even if your parents have every good intention, that
Mhm.
the more you're criticized, the worse it is, that you really think of yourself as a bad person.
Mhm.
Or in my case, somebody once said, if you do this or that, you're a wicked girl. Well, I'm not a wicked girl, and I'm certainly
Mhm.
not a wicked girl at 9 years old, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you bring those messages with you, and it's very bad.
Yeah.
It really does a number on you when you're older. And it's terrible when a parent dies. It really messes with your head. And part of that is all the memories that you have of being criticized and being demanded of. And somehow you got to let that go. And I don't know any therapist that really knows how to help you let that go other than talk about it and decide what you can do about your life today. And there's a lot of things you can do. Some people are going into writing, some people are going into painting or doing podcasts like you're doing
Yes.
and involving themselves with all kinds of different personalities. And I think that's really important.
And you have to walk it on your own, and that's the thing. You have to do it like you have like therapists or guides, or you have mentors or other people, but you do have to go through it yourself. And I think that's the thing. But that's why I
Exactly.
love creativity and writing any creative arts because then you can express yourself, and that's really a form of healing, I think.
I do too. I really do. And it's interesting. I've done all my own writing. Nobody writes for me, and I don't have a ghostwriter or anything like
Mhm.
that. But one of the things that's been a miracle to me this year is Chat GPT. And believe me, I'm not getting paid by them or anything like that. I'm just talking to you that the ideas that you can get from something like that will energize you in a way you never expected. If you write down, what can I say to Arish today? And I didn't do that because I knew
Mhm.
you and I were going to be able to talk easily. But for
Mhm.
someone that's not as easy to talk to as you are, she gives you ideas and you go, wait a minute, why didn't I think of this or think of that? There's things out there to help you in all parts of your life. And you just
Mhm.
open up your eyes to see it, you'll be surprised.
It's a tool, and I think as a tool, like we should take advantage of it and use it, but again, not rely too much on it. And that's the other thing. Like
That's
you say, it
the
doesn't do the
point.
writing for you, but
That's
it's
right.
helping you, right? And I've been kind of
Yeah.
entering that with hesitation, but now I'm embracing it a bit more. And it's like, yeah, there are benefits to it, right? That you can use and that helps you with
Yeah,
your
it's
creativity.
miraculous to be honest
Mhm.
with you. Talk about
Mhm.
miracles.
Yeah.
That the idea that you can come up with all kinds of other ideas of that you can enter, besides miracles, the miracle of just being alive. I
Mhm.
mean, what are the chances? That's a big deal.
Yes.
And so the miracle is really that this man is able to see miracles in his life and offer it to his new girlfriend who's now seeing it too. So it's a very happy ever after,
Love
and
it. Yeah. Mhm.
no explicit sex scenes or anything like that for your audience that can't
Okay.
stand that kind of thing. No open door stuff. It's
Yeah.
just, but it shows that there is a romance out there,
Yeah.
and if you take it seriously and you realize you've got somebody new in your life, that can really encourage you to do a lot of productive things, no matter what age you are.
hmm
And that's what I've discovered.
And I think the miracle is there, and I like how you put it, like seeing the miracle, like and then showing her the same thing. Look what I am seeing, and through my view. And perspective is so important because once you do change your perspective, in many ways, not only do you have more gratitude for everything that you have and everything that's happening to you, but you see the miracle of it, the beauty of it.
Exactly.
And we this is like especially sensitive time, like when people are already in that mode of seeing things more clearly. Most of the times we're not, though. We walk through our life and there's so much happening around us and we don't see it. Or there is a potential romance, but if we don't see it, we don't act upon it, it never materializes.
Yes, it's there's a lot of mistrust. I mean,
hmm
especially if you're meeting people online or you're doing anything like that. The world is crazy right now in that way. Who can you trust? Who
hmm
can you believe? I think that's a big part of what's going on right now, Arish. I really do.
hmm But I think it was always the case. But now it's just because you have more options. Like you can present an online persona that's not who you really are. So people are less authentic in some ways.
Oh,
So it gives them different ways of like showing themselves in a different way. But I think really deep down, what does your heart say? Yeah, what is how does this person make you feel? And we should really listen to that.
exactly. I think that you do have to listen to your gut. That's
hmm
for sure. Because the minute you see somebody, if you just really look at them, they scream who they are. They tell
hmm
you everything about themselves.
hmm
You can see it. You can see the insecurities. You can see the truthfulness or lack of it,
hmm
any of that.
hmm Exactly. So, this is this part of a series that you're looking at in terms of your writing of books? Is that
Yes.
yeah.
I am. I am hoping that it will be a series because I want them to go on and do kind of a Doctors Without Borders thing. I
Mhm.
want them to have a kid. I want them
Okay.
to, yeah, oh,
So,
sure,
so
we got
this
to
is
have
the
a kid in
beginning, right?
there.
This is the first one. This is where
This is my
they
first
meet
book
and
for it.
then okay. Oh, awesome.
And then it'll be the doctor's secret agent because we've got to find out why the barn burned down and what people hope to get out of that. And of course, it's monetary, but I won't give away that secret.
hmm
That's a really good twist. But the
hmm
first one kind of introduces you to these characters and sets up a romance so that you can see it's not all just roses, and going to Disneyland, that there's a lot of problems these people face. And because they care for each other, they're able to work it through. And I think that that's a big, and they know how to reach out to other people that can help them work it through, not just psychotherapists, but I mean
hmm
people in their lives that can really help them out.
And what was the inspiration? How did it come about? How did you get the idea for these characters, this situation?
I started reading Harlequin. I
Sure,
mean,
sure. Why not?
addictively reading it. And I thought all of these books really have the same kind of message
Yeah.
that if you work it through with somebody, if you really go the distance with them and you see who they are and you see what they want in their lives, you can determine whether that's a person you want in your life or not.
hmm
You see what their morals, if you will, want, and what their whole feeling about life is, and then
hmm
you know whether that person is going to jibe with you or not. And I
hmm
think that has a lot to do with it.
Okay, that's awesome. And so you do have here some ideas for follow-up novels of these characters. I
Definitely.
love
Oh,
that. Yeah.
definitely that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know them quite well. It's I love it when I have people over who talk about the novels and they really know the characters. Like this you
Good
spend
point.
time with them. You really like
Yeah.
see the world through their eyes. And that's like that makes good writing for me.
If you characters are everything.
Yes.
If you can put a character on the moon and if you know that character, they're going to react up there exactly as they would down here.
Mhm,
And one of the things that would-be writers out there in your audience might be
mhm,
interested, if you take a bus ride, if it's safe in your city, or a train ride, look around you and look at the life of those characters. I mean,
mhm,
somebody will have all their junk on another seat next to them. Somebody else will be immaculately dressed to go on this big long train trip where they're going to be sweating. Why are they even dressed like that? I went to a grocery store the other day and this lady is completely dressed in diamonds. I mean, she's got this gorgeous clothing on and I couldn't resist, Arish. I knew I shouldn't do it. But I said, tell me something. Why are you all dressed up to go shopping? She's, I don't know, I just feel good like that. I mean, she looked
Mm.
gorgeous, but
Yeah.
why? Why wasn't she in a pair of jeans and a top? Well, that's a character.
Yes, yes,
And look at the
absolutely.
life of
And there
that
are characters all around us. Like if we open our eyes, there's so much. And I look around too. As I don't ask them often. But I
no,
think about them. It's like
you're too polite.
I create a story around them. I say I believe this
Right.
person is going to do this, and sometimes some crazy stuff too. It's like I believe this person just like did something bad and so on. So I think that's really awesome to have that curiosity about the people around you and to kind of make up stories around them. It
And then you
might
put
not be
those
true, right? Yeah,
Well, you put those characters together.
exactly.
The grocery store had a guy that was clearly, he was a homeless man, but he was definitely a schizophrenic.
Hmm.
And he started to undress. So the cops were coming, and some other lady was just screaming. I mean, she was so upset. And you put those two characters in a story, you're going to come up with quite a story. I
Yeah.
don't know what the story will be, but you will.
Yeah.
You write the first sentence, and all of a sudden, all the other little sentences follow.
Yeah,
You know
but you
what
don't just see the moment. You give them like a past. You see the background. You kind of maybe what led them to this moment or to this way of life. And
I
so
love
that
that.
I think brings in compassion, where we have empathy for
Oh,
people because we see them not as just a person in the moment, but somebody who existed through time and will exist in the future. And this is just a snapshot. And I love that with literature, with novel writing, because you develop that. You give them a voice. Feelings, thoughts, and so on. You create human beings, basically.
exactly. And our attention span is so limited now
That's
because
right.
of all the stuff coming in at us, the television and sports and all of the things that kind of um, come in and
Mhm.
stop you from thinking. So you have to start a novel out immediately. You can't have
Okay.
a big,
Yeah.
long, descriptive paragraph or anything like that. You've got to have somebody open the door and there's a body lying there, on their
Yeah.
porch kind
Exactly.
of thing
Yeah.
to grasp to get people in.
Yes.
And that's been hard for me because I was always trained to give a lot of description and people won't read that now. I think you have to know the zeitgeist of
Hmm.
what's going on in the reading world today. And I think you can do that by going to any bookstore and see what's on the table and what's being featured.
Hmm. And I want to also talk about you yourself because you talk about transformation, but you're also living it and you have transformed throughout. And I think that's really important. So,
Oh,
because
thank you.
when you're a person who reinvents themselves, right? Would you say that? And you have done this through
I think
from
you
being
have to
an
do that.
actress to like psychologist, a writer, and so on. So, what would you say about that? What caused it, and what is what do you recommend for us to do? As somebody who also I myself just recently turned 50, and I think that's a huge number. Now I don't know like where should I be? What should I do?
You're a
And I'm in the
kid.
process of transformation myself. I was like, I'm going to transform everything, right? So
Well, you're making yourself a star by having a podcast. People see
mhm,
you, they
yes.
listen to you, they know what themes resonate with you, and I think that that's what's important. And I think that doing podcasts and doing any kind of thing where you're being seen is important. I just got introduced to Substack. I never heard of it. I
Mhm,
didn't know what to do with it. And
mhm,
then I started writing for it, and I thought, wow, you're really able to express yourself with other people. I think they're even able to talk back with you. And that's very important too. Knowing how to work these social medias. Somebody on my block was doing an influencer party, and I said, "What's an influencer party now? What am I missing?" And they're going, "Oh, it has to do with yoga." And so, and you're invited. And I think that that's a really good thing that people are just getting involved in other people's lives
yeah,
and seeing how they live and seeing what they do. And I think that's very different from the way I was brought up, where you really were in this little insular group,
yeah.
and you didn't really expand from there in my day.
I love your openness too of trying out new stuff and getting into AI and Substack and so on, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a lot of people are scared of that, especially when they're getting a bit older. They're just like they don't trust it or they're scared of it, and it's like I won't be able to understand it. But I love how you're just jumping in, right? That's awesome. That's
Well,
very good.
50 is a transformative age. I mean,
Mhm.
that's prime time. It really is. I acted until I was, oh, I'd say 38. And I had some good roles. I was a working actress. But the
Hmm.
thing is that I could see it wasn't going to go on forever.
Hmm.
And, you know, every year you wonder, oh, am I going to get another part? Every single part you get, you think, is this going to be my last part? It's just the way it is. And I was in the PhD program when I got to be on the Bronx Zoo, which was supposed to go to series. So I thought,
Oh, yeah.
wow. But I was very glad that I had something that really settled me down, because I can be very ADHD, as you can probably tell, and I'm always running around, and you've got to slow down. And
Hmm.
I think that going back to school was a very big thing for me. I really got into another career that I liked very, very much. I think that I was able to do some good work in it.
Hmm.
And then now writing is like full time, pretty much.
Hmm.
And I write every day. I try to write every day. I listen to what Walter Mosley says. You know,
Hmm.
I
Good,
take,
good for you.
an hour and a half to write every day. And I thought, oh Lord, I don't think I can do that. But you do, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it becomes a routine, a habit, but a good one, right? That and I love how you're using that energy for that kind of stuff, right? So
That's
really
what you use your energy
positive,
for. Yeah.
constructive stuff that we can all enjoy that
Yeah,
as well.
because kids do leave the house, they go and live in other states. You
Hmm.
know, you are responsible ultimately for making yourself happy and doing the things that you like to do and
Hmm.
making it possible. You know, finding things that will allow you to do what you want to do. All my life, I wanted to have Paul Bocuse make my dinner in Lyon. All my life, he was the greatest chef in the world. And finally, when I just went to France, I mean,
Hmm.
I'd been there before many times, but this time it was Christmas and I got to go down to Lyon and he made my dinner. And those fantasies should be made to come true. They really
Yes,
should.
exactly. Yeah.
You make them happen.
Yeah, yeah, you do. And well, awesome. Thanks so much, S.A. Stolin. So you're a best-selling author, forensic psychologist. Your latest book is The Dog's Christmas Miracle. It sounds wonderful. It's just perfect also for the season now coming up. I recommend it highly. And thank you for being on Arash's World.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.